see. Oh, we've got people watching. I'm working through some technical difficulties at the moment. Please be patient while I try to work through this. And maybe we'll be able to make this work yet. Let's see. Allow. Okay. Hi, Jacob. Welcome to the stream. My Brave browser that I normally use just for my broadcasts has decided to hang on me over and over and over again tonight. So I am trying this in Firefox, but I may have no video. Let's try that camera. Oh well. Old Faithful rises again. Okay. Well, not the way I wanted to do things tonight, but I guess we'll make do with what is working. So, all right. Believe it or not, I was actually in my office early tonight, and I've been fighting with this problem for about 15 minutes. So no, it's just I don't normally use Firefox. And it's not detecting the newer of the cameras for whatever reason. So I'm using the tried and true Logitech C920, and we'll make use of it. Make do with what we've got for the moment. Tonight. So don't completely seems to be the one. So yeah. Yes, browsers can be a pain. I stopped using Chrome proper because it kept launching on me at boot. Stuttering. I don't know. There shouldn't be anything too different going on. So yeah, I used to use Chrome proper for this kind of thing, but Chrome kept launching when I would turn on the computer. And so I got rid of Chrome. And then Brave came out, and I thought, okay, well, it's based on Chromium. And so I gave that a try, and so I kept it around basically for these broadcasts using StreamYard. But tonight, for whatever reason, Brave just started to flip me the bird and decide not to cooperate. So, oh yeah, I guess I match. Product placement, right? No, this video is not endorsed in any way, shape, or form by Pepsi. But yeah. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about tonight, and how long we go depends on how much the technology cooperates with me and things of that nature. But Proxmox VE 7.0 has been released beginning of this week, I believe. So let's bring up the browser and let's see. Share my screen first. There we go. Allow. Oh, yes. That's why I don't use Firefox. So I cannot share my screen at all right now. Oh, okay. Well, I guess this is going to be a talking head video. So my week has been going busy, fast, stressful to some degree. So Proxmox VE 7.0 has been released, and I guess we'll be revisiting this on Sunday to actually do the demo. But I will pull up the website so I can reference it. I don't suppose this is going to be the most entertaining video tonight, but hey. So Proxmox 7.0 was released on the 6th, so Monday. And let me make this larger so my old eyes can read it. So the big changes include Linux kernel 5.11, QEMU 6.0, LXC 4.0, and OpenZFS or OpenZFS for my European types out there, version 2.0.4. Of course, it's updated all the other underlying packages that are part of Debian as well. It also has enhancements, Ceph Pacific 16.2, giving you the ability to run and manage Ceph storage directly from any of your cluster nodes, which I don't currently have a cluster implemented yet. BTRFS or BetterFS or ButterFS, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Copy on write file system, natively supported by the Linux kernel. Implements features such as snapshots, built-in RAID, and self-healing via checksumming for data and metadata. So BTRFS was originally billed as trying to be the Linux native answer to ZFS, but it has kind of stalled on development, especially with OpenZFS being on Linux now. There's a new panel within the GUI for easy management of apt repositories, which is something you previously had to drop to the command line to do. For access control, the new open protocol standard OpenID provides single sign-on, resulting in a seamless user experience. The notes section of the GUI now supports Markdown formatting. Let's see. So what can I do? So I can take this and I can drop it in the chat. Hey, look at that. Okay, so this isn't going to be the cleanest way to do things tonight, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work because I'm a resourceful guy, and I can problem solve on the fly, right? Okay, so other notable enhancements. Certificate management. The Acme standalone plugin now has support for dual stacked, meaning IPv4 and IPv6, and no longer relies on the configured addresses to determine its listening interface. And there's also an enhancement to time synchronization. New installations will install Crony as the default NTP daemon because the design limitations of systemd time sync make it problematic for server use. So, right. Let's see. Control Alt F4 or Control Alt 4 rather. So let's see. Well, that's not going to work the way I want it to do. So let's see what I've got for options here. All right. Well. Desktop. And that won't do that either. Okay. So, yeah. On the surface, Proxmox VE7, of which I'm currently running version 7.0-8. Looks pretty similar to the 6.4 version. And just seeing if there are any additional updates launched today. So again, this is a pretty easy upgrade. They have a guide for upgrading, doing an in-place upgrade. Go back to comments here. And so they have this little script. It will check your system to see if you meet all the requirements to move to from 6.4 to 7. And then you can follow their upgrade guide, which I will find this in a moment and paste it into chat. Upgrade from 6.x to 7. I'll take this. I'll throw that into chat as well. But pretty standard stuff here. So you have to be on version 6.4 to do the upgrade to 7. You'll want to make sure that all your VMs are backed up and your containers as well, just in case something goes wrong. Correct configuration of the repository, at least 4 gigs of free disk space on the root mount point. And so they want you to run the upgrade checklist script, and you can run it by itself. And this is what it's called, is PVE 6 to 7. and it does a series of checks. And if you do with the full flag on it, then it will run additional tests. This guide talks about moving important virtual machines and containers. This is more if you've got a cluster, move them from one machine to the other. That way you're not going to have downtime if something goes awry. Check the Linux network bridge MAC address. And then you need to configure apt resources, repositories. Add the Proxmox VE 7 package repository. And then do the system upgrade to Debian Bullseye and Proxmox 7.0. If you're running a cluster, then you've got a few additional considerations you have to work through. I'm not currently using a cluster, although this is something that I would like to explore in the future. But I expect at some point in the next few weeks to start working on a series similar to what I did last summer on Proxmox, and just document doing a fresh install of Proxmox 7 and going through some configuration pieces. It'll probably mirror what last summer's series was to a certain extent, using the newer version of the software. So that is what is happening there. There were some other things that came out this week, and with the technology flubs, it's completely escaping me what those things were. One of them, though, came through in my news feed on my phone. Let's see. There's an announcement from OMG Ubuntu that GNOME 40 will in fact be in Ubuntu 21.10, which should be released in October. So with the latest daily development version, GNOME 40 is in fact there. The other thing was, if you know any Microsoft employees, you could hit them up for a loan, because Microsoft is giving them an extra $1,500 bonus for their efforts during the pandemic. Congratulations. Mint 20.2 UMA. It has an article on How to Geek. It seems like there was something else that was a pretty big deal. Oh, WordPress 5.8. It looks like that's been released. So if you've got a blog or a website running WordPress, no, it's not quite released. Set to be released on the 20th of this month. This is just an article talking about the new features. Let's see. Seems like there was something else. I am just completely drawing a blank. Hopefully everybody else's week is going a little bit better than mine, or at least better than my day today. Let me open the news and see what's available in Linux news and if anything is that interesting. Oh, big surprise. Kaspersky package password manager fixes flaw that generated easily brute-forced passwords. That is if you trust the Russians. Let's see. Apple founder Steve Wozniak, aka the Woz, backs right to repair movement. Always the rebel, in search of a cause. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? Volkswagen, BMW fined $1 billion for colluding to make dirtier cars. Qualcomm and Asus made a phone for Snapdragon insiders. Let's see. Let's see. Would have been nice if it was ZFS 2.1.0. Old packaged for some reason. Very likely to break if I manually upgrade again. Yeah. I tend not to mess with upgrading software, file system software too much. Let's see. All those password managers are a problem waiting to happen. Yep, quite likely. Let's see. What else do we have new? So that looks like a cool article. Dump this in the chat. So from linuxshelltips.com, which is a site I haven't been to before, how to restrict SSH access to certain users in Linux. Anybody going through config for SSH for the first time or needing a refresher on it, this isn't a bad way to go. Looks like it has pretty typical information in it. So that's not a bad thing. Let's see. I guess there's not... Oh, yes. Of course, there was the hubbub at the beginning of the week about the Audacity software having been purchased a while back by a company. And while it's still open source, they are in the process of adding telemetry to it. So, of course, the open source community has done what it does best, and they have forked it. Multiple groups have forked it. One of the forks was called Tenacity. And the maintainer of that project, or that fork, has quit after alleged harassment by 4chan losers. who took issue with the name. So always drama happening in the Linux world. Of course, it reminds me of the BSD world of the early to mid 90s. Lots and lots of drama was happening there. Oh, let's see. Google sued by 36 states over alleged Play Store abuses. Moving from Windows 7 to Windows 11 will require a clean install. And apparently there is an FPGA implementation of the VAX mini computer, and some group has proposed 64-bit extensions for that architecture. So that should be interesting to see how that plays out. And let's see, only Windows 11 Pro will let you install Windows 11 with a local account. I've been telling people for years not to get the home version of Windows, but you know how people are, they don't always listen. Let's see. Trying to make the most of things with the technical limitations I've been presented tonight. Looks like linuxtoday.com got a visual overhaul. So all right. Oh, yes. Another thing that was released, I think yesterday may have been the release on it, is Nextcloud Hub 22. So that was kind of a big deal. Really pushing into territory to be similar to Google Workplace, formerly known as G Suite, formerly known as a few other things. Other than that, not a lot is sticking out to me. Yeah. So I guess I'll probably keep this short. Let's see. Password managers can be just as troublesome as useful. Same with two-factor authentication. Activation, for instance, has a broken process. Activision has a broken process for its 2FA. And if you don't have an email registered, you don't get backup codes. Yeah, I'd be happier for 2FA if people, more places would get on board with using YubiKeys or something similar. And when you get a new phone and don't back up the original authenticator, you lose access to your entire account permanently. I've heard such horror stories. Too many companies feed on the laziness of people when it comes to security. Take it from the expert. I cannot argue with that kind of wisdom. I just can't believe even their support team can't recover my account, even though I've got close to $300 in paid games tied to my account. Yeah. Makes me happy that I'm more of a classic console gamer. And several ways for them to verify my identity. Oh no, not more cloud. Well, the great thing about Nextcloud is that you host it yourself. And you can either do that on your own network, or you can get a virtual private server and have full control over everything. Biggest notice thing I found with Proxmox 7 is disk cloning way faster. I will be checking that out, Dean. I have not... I installed it on one machine last night. I did an in-place upgrade, and that went fine. But I did not get to play with it a lot, and I'll go into why in just a couple minutes. I have... what's the delay on snapshots? I haven't noticed any big issues with snapshots, but maybe I'm missing something. So I do work for a nonprofit. I've handled their technology for about 3 years now. And so I have recently been working with them to change how they buy computers for the organization. And wouldn't you know, the first time that they place an order, they bought 3 identical Inspiron 15s, the 5510 model, which is a new model. They ordered 3, delivered them to me. I opened them up. First one booted up just fine. Second one, after some fiddling, it turned on momentarily. It didn't want to go back off. It came up with an error message. Something about the time being needing to be reset. But the keyboard control wasn't working on the screen that was showing. So I backburnered that particular machine, and I went on to the third machine, which turned on fine. And I've almost got the third machine configured and ready to go back to them tomorrow. So they'll get 2 machines back that are usable, and 1 machine that their poor office manager is going to have to contact the Dell rep and say, hey, you sent us a lemon. We need something cross-shipped ASAP. And hopefully this gets resolved quickly. They do have next day on-site support for these machines. So it's not going to be a 2-week turnaround like the gaggle of nerds at a certain yellow and blue big box store. So hopefully this doesn't sour their executive director on ordering from Dell for future machines. I know they got a pretty good sized discount being a nonprofit, which offset the majority of the cost of the extended warranty and service plan. So hopefully we'll be able to get things resolved. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Maybe that machine will even turn on yet tonight, and if I burn the midnight oil, it might be ready to go back tomorrow morning. But yeah, 33% of the machines that we were sent in this first order were defective. So that's not a great track record, Dell, to start off with, and I'm really hoping that it was just a fluke. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, I suppose. So let's see. Jacob says, I use mostly snapshots in VMware, and that's why I've stuck with them for so long. Everything else used to make that a painful, slow process that forced me to take VMs offline. So I swear, yeah, Proxmox does have snapshots. The one VM I've got on the box that I upgraded last night, I've got a snapshot on there. I've never had any big problems with it. So, you know, it's one of those things, you know, since I've never been a heavy VMware user, at least not ESXi. Most of my experience has been with the workstation product. You know, I guess I don't know any better than what I've got with Proxmox and VirtualBox. I do take pretty regular snapshots at work of our server that's running our printing system and antivirus currently. So, and with a little luck, in the fall, I'll be able to jettison Kaspersky out of the library, which would make my life so much simpler. Make my life a lot simpler. So let's see. BDRFS and ZFS is new technology. Relatively new, yes. I think they've both been around more than 5 years, though. When I was a software development manager, my VPs ordered 60 NCR PCs, and less than half worked. When we tested them out of the box, 32 failures. Wow. That is awful. Now, when I was an intern for the College of Health Professions, where I went to school and did my internship at both. Well, I didn't go to that particular college as part of the same university. We ordered the summer I did my internship, we had to replace, I don't know, probably somewhere between 60 and 80 computers for various staff members, professors, other support staff within the building. And the university was standardized on Dell at that time, and I don't know as though we had any complete failures out of box. We may have had one that at the time had a bad hard drive, but you know, that's par for the course when you're shipping hard drives, I suppose. But again, with that situation, we had the next day support. All of our technicians, I think there were 3 of us working there that summer. We all were A+ certified at a minimum. And so we were able to get Dell to just send us the hard drive, and we just swapped it and then put the image on for the university. So that didn't work out too bad. I'm not a fan of Dell consumer machines or corporate level machines. Some of them are just built like tanks. I've got 2 Optiplexes on the desk next to me, and then I've got a third Optiplex running in the other room, and then I've got a Dell Precision workstation that I picked up for a little bit of nothing. But the Optiplex in the other room is my secondary Proxmox machine. And I think that's an Optiplex 990. It's nothing special. It's, it's 64-bit. It meets the minimum specs to run Proxmox, and unlike ESXi, Proxmox is not near as picky about going on repurposed machines and not requiring necessarily server level hardware. Oh wow, 2:45 a.m. Well, Dean, get some sleep. Don't worry about us. You're probably better off coming to my Sunday live streams at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So that might be a little bit more reasonable hour for you. So, but yeah, so I had to break it to my boss earlier this week. I sent her an email about Windows 11 and how we're going to have to replace basically every PC in the library, our public PCs and our staff PCs, over the next few years, before 2025. And given the library budgeting, we're going to have to do it in stages. And so it's likely that staff will get new machines this year, and then the following 2 years, the adults and kids public machines will get replaced. And I might do those 5 at a time just to keep costs lower. But yeah, that was not the most fun excuse me, email to initiate a conversation, but I wanted to be very proactive about it, even if I don't think I'll necessarily be at the library in 4 years. So it's it is what it is. So I'm really sorry, guys, that my technology is not cooperating tonight. I had everything kind of set up and revolving around being able to show my screen, and it's I feel like a deer caught in the headlights. We saw what was inside. The NCR Tech opened. The cases were locked with a key, and the main harness was melted. My gosh. When I'm finishing a video to go live at 7:30 a.m., my usual time, I would be getting sandwich about 2:30 a.m. New York time. Yeah. So, well, seeing as how I can't show my screen, I'm not sure what else to talk about tonight. Did anybody get hit by the bad Microsoft update that had to do with printing? I haven't seen any effects of it myself on any of the machines that I work on, but just curious if other people have been hit by that and if they've had any issues because of it. So but yeah, so it's been interesting. I think I may have sorted my issue with the glitchy video in the last pre-recorded video I did, and I know it was bad, and I put a disclaimer in the description acknowledging that. Somehow when I upgraded to Open Broadcast Studio 27, I think it was, the video encoder changed from hardware based to software based, and that was enough to really make my video choppy. So I think I've got that sorted. I've done a couple of test videos that I've played around with different types of edits on. So hopefully I can ensure that by the time I do my next recorded video that things are running a little more smoothly. Otherwise, you just won't be seeing my big bald head in these in the pre-recorded videos, anyways, because the computer does just fine recording the screen by itself. So, anywho, let's see. Did not experience any problems with my home network printing, and I rarely print at my day job. Yeah, so it's becoming more and more rare that I print anything, but that's one thing I've got to stay on top of, because a lot of people don't have printers at home anymore, and when they do have to print something, they come to their public library. So when the printing's not working at the library, you're up the proverbial creek without a paddle. But yeah. Other than that, I was able to get away for a few days over the weekend, which was really a way to let me reset a little bit. And, I'd hoped to do a live stream on Tuesday night, but with all this extra work that's been thrown on me for the nonprofit I'm setting up computers for, and a few other things, other projects that I've got to get completed here for other clients, Tuesday night just did not happen. So I will be back on Sunday, though. Normal time, 11 a.m. And by then I should have the issues with my other browser sorted so that I can share my screen. And I will likely do a test stream beforehand, which will be at some random time and unannounced. And that video will be made private right after it's done. So that's my big update. I do have some additional ideas for some upcoming videos. I've got some new ideas for editing videos, and wanted to post a link here. I have not yet made this an affiliate link, but I'm going to give it to you here anyways, because if you are doing YouTube for anything, this book called The YouTube Formula: How Anyone Can Unlock the Algorithm to Drive Views, Build an Audience, and Grow Revenue, by Daryl Eves. It has been a great read so far. I can't even express how many pages worth of notes I've got just from the first read through. And there is a high likelihood that I will be reading through this book again in like 6 months' time, just to go back through and touch on the ideas again and make sure I haven't missed anything that I could be implementing. So I want to say thank you to everybody that has been supporting the channel. With all this support, I am at 2,484 subscribers as of today. So I'm on that road to 2,500, and that 2,500 will put me 25% of the way to my goal of 10,000 by the time I turn 50, which I've got 3.5 years. 2.5 years. I don't know. January of 24. So 2.5 years. I have not created an Amazon affiliate link for that book yet. I wonder if I can do that here real quick. Like, let's see. Oh yeah, I should have done that to begin with. Amazon Associates, get link. Let's try this. Aha. So let's copy that. There's the affiliate link. I will have to put that in my file of links that I've got. And keep track of that one. The book's about 300 pages. It's currently showing at $16.59 for the hardcover version of it. Or if you're a Kindle person, $15. On this one, I went with the hardcover myself. But yeah, this is one I highly recommend. And you know, we'll see if I can hit the 10,000 subscribers by the time I turn 50. At the rate that I've grown this past year, if it keeps up and accelerates a little bit, it'll be doable. If it takes a dip, well, I might still be able to rebound and do that. But I wanted to pass this along because even if you're not yourself making YouTube videos, if you know somebody that is, or somebody that aspires to, even if it's for a business, I highly recommend this book. And no, I'm not being paid in any way by Daryl Eves to say this. I just I think he's got a great book, and it's certainly paid for itself in my eyes just by the tips I've got from it and the insights I have gained from reading through this. Lots of end of chapter exercises that you can go through too, to think about things in a different way, to explore other channels within your niche, and you know, kind of get insight on, you know, what are others doing right and what can I do different, to, you know, capitalize on some of their momentum. And so I'm going to be doing edits a little bit differently. I know that. And hopefully people will notice the extra effort I'll be putting into some of these upcoming videos. So that's I guess that's all I've got for tonight. I'm kind of brain fried at the moment. I'm going to spend probably another hour working on this laptop I've got over here to my left side. That's just out of frame, or almost out of frame. It's right there. You can see the corner of it. That one I know I can get done tonight. I want to do a once over on the first one I did, just to check one or two things to make sure I haven't missed anything. The other thing I wanted to throw out as a resource, is I'll link to this article. Oh, thank you, David, for ordering that through the affiliate link. I appreciate that. I think you might be my second or third affiliate purchase. It's happening, but it's happening slowly, and hopefully Amazon doesn't give me the boot before I reach their threshold. So this debloat script that Chris Titus has put together, I have to say that I'm pretty impressed with it. It makes it very easy to take out the telemetry, disable Cortana, get rid of OneDrive, all the things that I was doing manually before. When I set up a new Windows system for people, there are a number of pieces of software that it installs, and it uses winget to install those. It has Firefox, Chrome, Brave browser, VLC player. It's got multiple image viewers. It's got multiple PDF viewers, including Adobe's. It can set your Windows updates to only do security updates, so that you're not pushing feature updates. without some knowledge of when it's happening. I kind of like to babysit those on several systems. And yeah, I mean, it's been a handy script to have, and hopefully people will find that useful. I may do a demo of this at some point in time. Again, I don't do a lot of Windows demos on my channel because I am more heavily a Linux user, except for my day job. And I'm slowly sneaking some Linux in there. The one computer that we've got that is currently for searching the library catalog, and only for that purpose, is going to be losing Windows 10 here shortly. And that will end up getting a Linux kiosk system installed on it. So basically it'll boot, it'll automatically launch a browser, it'll lock down access to anything else, and it will pre-launch a couple of tabs in the browser that will have the 2 different websites that they're allowed to use on that computer on it. And pretty much all other websites will be blocked. I may be turning into one of those people that those administrators that people complain about, but that's all right. Because at a public library, if you don't like it, buy your own computer. Not a difficult concept. I'm not usually too bad to deal with, but I am slowly breaking the rest of the staff of some bad habits that were in place before I arrived there. And since we've had one lady retire and another one leave for a different job, I have started to implement a few things that I did find a little cringeworthy when I first took over the job. But I'm afraid that I've not been in a position where I didn't find something cringeworthy because of the way others were deciding to manage things. So, in any event, are there any other questions in the chat, or anybody else that hasn't joined in the chat that wanted to raise a question before I start closing things down for the night? Getting back to what I was talking about a moment ago, I do appreciate everybody's support. I'm doing this for a little supplementary income to fund my hobby projects, I guess you could say, to some extent. And it's also to do my small part of leaving a mark on society, and people be able to find these videos once I'm dead, gone, and my carcass has been disposed of, and who knows, a tree might be growing where I was buried, or some bull thistle or poison oak. Poison sumac, I don't know. I made my coworkers laugh one day last week. I told them that the older I get, that the more I think about being cremated when I die, because that way I can go out of this world with a smoking hot body. So yes, I fully acknowledge that I have a demented and morbid sense of humor, and if you grew up around a funeral home, you would have a similar sense of humor, I am sure. All right. Let's see. My day job is cringeworthy nearly every hour of the working day. Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I like Linux as well. Have you ever heard of Unraid? I have. Ian. I tried out Unraid. Shoot, it's been 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Geez, it might have been longer than that. It was before they did one of the big updates where they started pushing the idea that you could play games on the same machine that's acting as your network attached storage because of their GPU pass-through technology that they implemented. I think Unraid is a pretty neat project. I just don't currently have a system that warrants its use. It's interesting to me that they were one of the first, if I remember correctly, they were one of the first to have a lot of the extensions and let you do virtualization on top of it and all kinds of different things. And it's interesting that Open Media Vault came around and it's got some things in common with Unraid. And then we've got TrueNAS Scale, which is sort of bridging the NAS and the virtualization technologies. So it's almost like a Proxmox with NAS capabilities built in. I think a lot of this is very interesting. And if I had extra machines that I could just pack full of hard drives and a decent graphics card and make use of some of this to its full potential, I think it'd be fun to play with. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I'm not entirely sure. I guess it depends on your perspective on things. I view, to some degree, the consolidation of these different technologies into a single platform similar to the way I view the all-in-one stereo systems that were popular in the 80s, where you'd have the dual cassette deck, a radio, and a turntable all built into a cheap plastic case with a couple of speakers. And, it almost becomes a jack of all trades, master of none type of situation. And so, I kind of like to keep my NAS separate and then run a virtualization platform, a hypervisor separate. And maybe I'm just old school, a product of when I came up through schooling and learning about technology. Maybe I'm just old school. I know, approaching 50, I'm no spring chicken anymore. But I tend not to like to stack all of these technologies together in the same box because you've got too much at risk if a component fails. And that's the thing that makes me nervous about it. That was always my argument against all-in-one computers. That was always my argument against, those home stereos. It was an inexpensive way to go, great for young people, and but I came up and bought a separate receiver and bought a separate CD player back in the day. Well, I got one for Christmas one year, 1989, I think it was. But I've always bought separate components so that if one nosedives on me, then I replace that one component and life goes on. I'd have to work with Unraid on a test system to gauge my comfort level with it, and the same thing goes for the upcoming True NAS Scale product that's again based on Linux instead of BSD, and is going to bridge that NAS and hypervisor type technologies together. All right. Bruno, welcome. Maybe we'll keep this going for a while. XCPNG user here. In your opinion, is it worth it to migrate a production cluster to Proxmox? That's a great question. That is a great question, Bruno. I know some people go towards XCPNG, some people go towards Proxmox, some people go towards straight roll your own type stuff based on QEMU and all that kind of stuff. I guess I would say if XCPNG is doing what you need it to do right now, I would stick with it. Now, with that being said, there's nothing wrong with throwing Proxmox on an extra box you got laying around. I've mentioned here before, and I don't know if you were here during that conversation. I do have Proxmox VE running on a Dell Optiplex 990, so it's a pretty low-ish powered machine compared to today's standards, especially server class hardware. But for one or two VMs and some containers, it does all right. I don't know as though I would really recommend ripping out an existing production cluster to move to Proxmox. With them just having released Proxmox 7.0 on Monday, I would probably wait at least until 7.1 comes out, which could be 4 to 6 months. Since I'm not running my Proxmox stuff in production, other than my home lab stuff that I keep going, I'm not too worried because I can spin up a replacement for whatever I've got running there fairly quick. So I guess if it's working, stick with it for the time being, and maybe do some testing in the next few months on Proxmox 7, and find out what the pros and cons are for your particular environment before you rip out something that's working wholesale and change it. Let's see. Ian, I have a 1 terabyte unraid server. I have a bunch of Docker containers, including Nextcloud. I also have a media center for TV and host my own website. And I also use pfSense as my router. That's great. Yeah, I would like to take a new look at Unraid. It's been at least half a decade since I've looked at it in any depth, so I'll have to give that another look. Tony, welcome. So I'm experiencing technical difficulties tonight, and I can't share my screen because my other browser decided to not cooperate with me as I was getting the stream started, or trying to start the stream. And let's see. Doesn't compute, says Bruno. I find XCP, NG, and Proxmox about equal in features. I do run more XCP NG. That's fair. Catherine, welcome. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Dun, dun, dun. I'm getting network NIC varnish errors on Dell R630 time and again, and this is happening more often than I would expect. Interesting. Motherboard NIC or PCIe. The R730s and R910s don't on VMware, XCPNG, and when I ran Proxmox on the R730 XD before putting XCPNG back on the second one. Great. Let's see. I opted not to take the collaboration. I've learned over the years with my channel what content isn't well received by the community. Don't think that video would do well. Okay. I'm thinking about focusing on my live stream for this coming Sunday on computer security, small presentation on some items, and then Q&A. That shouldn't be missed. I'll sit in on that one. Let's see. Have 4 1 gig and 2 10 gig NICs on the motherboard on the 730 XDs, and run my VMs off the NAS with iSCSI on the 10 gig. I haven't used Proxmox in a while, and I do miss it. Great. No time like right after a new release to take another look at it. Let's see. Chris's stuff is pretty good for debloating Windows 10. Yes, I have become a fan of his debloat script. There's another one that I had been using before I found Chris made one, and I like the one Chris built better. Let's see. All right. Push it out using AD policy, and that helps a lot. Great. Most of the computers I'm using it on are fresh setups currently. But I have considered pushing it on AD for the staff machines at the library I work at. You can use Ansible if you don't like AD group policy. That's another idea. Gives me another excuse to use Ansible in a Windows environment, which is something I've dabbled with in the past, but it's been a little while now. All right. I share that excitement, Catherine. And let's see. I don't think that company was happy with my review. Well, it happens. Done because of the Windows 11 hoopla. Yeah. So, speaking of Windows 11, I don't know if everybody has seen this or not, but I'll throw this in the chat as well. So out here on GitHub, there is a replacement, excuse me, a third-party replacement for the Windows 11 compatibility utility that Microsoft had put out. Only this one gives you more information, and it's independent. So it's being updated pretty regularly at the moment, so I wouldn't let too long go by between grabbing updates for it. You don't need to install anything, but yeah, it's a cute little application. It tells you whether your computer is ready for Windows 11 or not. So it should be interesting to see what Microsoft decides to do, if they're going to re-release their tool or not. And yeah, that should hopefully help people get ready for Windows 11. I know I've got plenty of work ahead of me over the next few years, helping people replace machines and replacing machines at work as my tech budget permits that to happen. But yeah, let's see. TPM settings. Most people cannot even enter the BIOS UEFI, let alone find those settings and change them. You speak the truth. Just got done upgrading to Proxmox 7. It was a little bit of a pain. Yeah. I've upgraded one machine so far, and that went pretty smoothly so far. I haven't noticed any glitches. I've been a little hesitant to upgrade the other one quite yet. But potentially over the weekend I'll do that. Worst case scenario, I do a reinstall on that machine. I've been thinking about doing that anyways, so it's not going to be the end of the world. Let's see. Thanks for hosting the Proxmox chat. Appreciate it. I try to focus people on your channel on here. I always enjoy it. Thank you. Doesn't compute. I appreciate your help, and slowly but surely the channel is growing, and yeah, I want to keep making videos, and got a few minor upgrades planned coming up here the rest of the summer for a couple of machines that will give me a little more headroom to do some things. And then we'll see what happens. Should make for some interesting new videos. I've noticed some Proxmox 7 bugs already. Ooh. Maybe I'll hold off upgrading that other machine. I haven't noticed any myself. I haven't tested it too deeply yet, but I wanted to upgrade the machine that was sort of the secondary Proxmox machine. And, you know, just take my time planning out the upgrade of the other one. So let's see. They will re-release it along some 6th, 7th gen and 1st gen Ryzen. Excuse me. I hope so, because I don't think there's a reason why the 1st gen Ryzen shouldn't be able to run Windows 11. Let's see. My server is running X520 Intel 10 gig NICs connected to a TrueNAS NFS share for VMs. The problem is that 3 times already the NICs, both PCIe and onboard, just vanish. Wow. Huh. So my big Proxmox machine, which is aged, I suppose you could say, in terms of computer years. It's a super micro server that I picked up, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I got it used. It's a space heater in the winter, I can tell you that. But the thing has been rock solid with Proxmox on it. The only time I've had to reinstall is when I've screwed something up horribly myself, which I think I've done twice. But live and learn, live and learn. Let's see. I don't find it necessary to need to go to a required TPM involvement with an OS, and Microsoft's stated reason now is to me nonsense. Therefore, I won't support it or use. Yeah, I'm pretty close to being there myself, for that same reason. I've heard some various stories of why they're doing what they're doing, but it all seems rather arbitrary to me. Let's see. All right, Brazil. Well, great. Thank you for coming in, Bruno. I appreciate that. We're slowly but surely I'm checking off countries in these various chats and things that I have going on. So getting people from all over, it's kind of rewarding to be able to see that. So thank you. Yep. Ian just pointing out the number of subscribers I've got. Growth is happening. May not be happening super fast, but it's happening. OpenVMS Intel 8.4 shouldn't disconnect from NIC. What does system log show? There's some scenarios we need Windows 7 VMs. Ooh, yuck. Yeah, there's still some legacy stuff out there. I hope you can VLAN that stuff off. So everything else is a little safer. Thank you for that great little tool. This is the info I expect from Microsoft. Their PC Health app was so cryptic, and I gave them feedback on it. I don't think you're alone in that feeling, Catherine. I thought when I ran it that they could have given a lot better information than they did. So yeah. Jonathan. So I'm kind of a newer subscriber to your channel. Do you work in IT? What do you do? I have a pretty big home lab myself at the moment. Okay, so basic rundown. I am the technology coordinator at a small library. So basically, if it plugs into the wall, I'm somehow responsible for it, including the paper shredder. somehow that's IT related. I have been working with computers. Well, let's see. The first computer I put my hands on was a Trash 80 Model 3, circa about 1983-ish, late 83, when I was in elementary school. My family had a Coleco Atom and then a Tandy Color Computer 2. The first computer I bought was a Tandy Color Computer 3. I went through the Commodore Amiga line in the 90s. That was pretty much what I was running. In fact, I had to laugh at a classmate of mine when he was gung-ho to upgrade to Windows 95 on release date, and it wiped his computer. And I was just kind of chugging along with my preemptive multitasking on my Amiga. So yeah, I've been around. Been using Linux since 1997-ish. I think it was August of 97. I bought a book at a Barnes and Noble that had like 4 Linux CDs on the cover. I think it was Red Hat 4.2, which was pretty crude. Highlight of that was playing X-Bill. If anybody remembers that game. So yeah, my undergrad work was in computer networking. My graduate work was information assurance and security. And you know, I do consulting work on the side outside of the library. I work with a few nonprofits, which has its ups and downs, but yeah, people have told me that my knowledge of computers is encyclopedic in some ways. Unfortunately, I wish that encyclopedic knowledge was about more current stuff. But hey, you know, I try, and I seem to be getting through to people. People seem to keep commenting on my stuff on YouTube, so I feel like I've got somewhat of a pattern that works at the moment. So I hope that answers your question about my background. So yeah. Let's see. I will be talking about TPM, of course, another lazy way out of practicing good security. Sorry, I'm opinionated. I don't fault your opinions, David. I would say that many times your opinions are wisdom, and more people should follow it. Let's see. I have no issues with OpenVMS VAX 7.2, 7.3 on the Dell R730XD using XCPNG, going to TrueNAS for storage, but I know it's not really the same. Still, it works. Okay. Try to catch up on these comments. I can't get behind Unraid. Open Media Vault seems trustworthy. Okay, let's see if I can find out. Old software that runs only on Windows 7 that forces me to hold on updating some. Yeah, thankfully I'm in an environment that I don't have to run Windows 7, and in fact, I don't think I've got any customers that are still running Windows 7 anymore. So I even forced my father to update from Windows 7 to 10 prior to the support being cut off for 7. Let's see. That was not nice. They really could do much better with more info and explanations, I thought. I am right there with you. Let's see. I just ran that utility you provided. Why not Win11 on my primary editing? Got all greens. All right. Well, I figured as new as your stuff is, because I've been watching your build videos, you should be getting all greens on those, David. I would sure hope so. Let's see. 5 hosts running XCPNG 8.1s, then orchestra, self-built, pushing incremental backups to offsite store. Runs well when that error makes me spend nights checking VMs. Yep. Let's see. Skip down a few. What Microsoft is doing with Win 11 is meant to allow people to keep practicing bad security. Yeah. Security was one of the reasons that I got on board the Linux train because especially in the first version of XP, it was just practically non-existent. And even in 2001, there was no excuse for not shipping an OS with a firewall. That was just bad. I always find updating Dell motherboard firmware a good choice as often as they come up with updates. Yeah. Ooh, more stuff coming in. Let's see. Have you guys heard about the print nightmare exploit going on? It's made my job a nightmare recently. We mentioned that earlier, Jonathan. I think before you came in. I have not encountered it yet. Knock on wood. And hopefully I don't. But I've only got one Windows machine in my home network. And I've been monitoring the situation on the stuff at the library and so far have not had issues. So I've got my fingers crossed. Otherwise, I will be pulling out whatever hair I've got left, which, as you can see, is not much on the top of my head. Yes, it's been all over Twitter. Not making life good for a lot of admins. Yeah. I've been hearing the stories, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I have a 4-cluster Proxmox node with 2 unraid NAS, one with hard drives, one with solid-state storage. Then using SyncThing and syncing offsite to another unraid box. Works well. I love unraid. Very nice. If I had an easy offsite place to sync to, then I would be doing something very similar. The PC I'm on was built before I started my channel. It's an i7 8700K. That's still pretty solid. And that should be supported by Windows 11. All right. I'll check for hardware updates on next. Very nice. Best of luck with the network interfaces. All right. It is 10:44. We've extended this out. I appreciate all the lively commentary from everybody. This has been a better live stream than I was expecting it to be when I started it with software problems. technical issues, and thank you to everybody that has helped make that happen. We had at one point 10 people watching the video, which I think might be a record for me. So maybe we'll do more in this type of format with less of a demo. I'm going to play with the format a little bit. So, but this has been fun. Let's see. I installed the Microsoft update and disabled the printer service in PowerShell. Intel i7 2600S for pfSense. Very nice. It's fun. I like having like-minded people to talk live with. Yes. Too much of my time in tech, I have not had people to bounce ideas off from. And you know, that's part of the reason I started pushing the live streams as much as I have this year. You know, with the current health situation around the world right now, shall we say. I've been impressed that people have shown the support and you know, stepped up in the chats. Have a good night, Tony, and Bruno as well. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. We're definitely on the road to 2,500, and I expect maybe not by this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday we'll be at or above 2,500. So another little check mark off on the goals, milestones. So, but I'm going to go ahead and close things down for the night. Thank you again, everybody. If you've gotten any value out of this, please, if you could, it would help me out if you could like the video. And I will be back live Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So plug that into the time zone calculator of your preference and figure out what time that is in your local time zone. And hopefully by then I'll have the tech issues figured out, and we could talk and we can share screen and maybe go into a little bit of a demo of Proxmox 7 and see what we can do with it. Maybe we can find some bugs. So let's see. First time getting New Life. I really enjoyed it. You've got a good channel. Have a good night. Great night. Thank you, Ian. You do the same. And again, thanks everybody. I hope I'll see a few of you on Sunday morning. Try to get some sleep tonight, and stay safe out there, and happy computing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.